make an Irish chain piece quilt block. We're going to start with 4 3-inch by 3-inch pieces. I'm choosing 4 different blues. You can do it the same. You can obviously do it with any color, but for today's lesson, we're doing 4 different blues. So we have 4 3-inch by 3-inch pieces. Now we're going to need 4 3 by 5.5-inch pieces. Next, we have 4 3 by 5.5-inch pieces. And the last thing we need is a center block. We're going to use this for our center block, and this block is 5.5 by 5.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is sew my rectangles to the top and the bottom of my center block. So I'm going to lay it pretty side to pretty side. I'm going to sew it with a 1/4-inch seam, following the edge of my fabric with the edge of my presser foot. I'm going to stitch and back stitch when I begin and when I end, because my grandma said so.
I have a mixture of colors for my squares, but all of your rectangles should be the same color.
I have one. I'm going to sew the other one on, same way. I've got this done. I'm going to set it to the side. Then I'm going to pick up one of my rectangles, and I'm going to sew a blue to the top and a blue to the bottom.
And don't forget, when you make these, to email me a photo to hometownquiltcompany@gmail.com. I want to see.
I'm going to take my last rectangle and do the same thing. Blue on the top, blue on the bottom.
For the size that I'm making of this quilt, I need 35 completed blocks.
These are the 3 pieces we have. We have this piece, we have our center piece, and then we have this piece. Now I am putting a light color at the top and a light color at the bottom, dark color at the bottom, dark color at the top, because I don't want there to be one like super dark area in the quilt. When you look at it, you're like, oh, everything dark's right there. I don't want that. Trimming my threads off. Now, you can iron these at this point. I'm not going to. I usually just iron mine after I sew it, but if you want to iron now and then sew it, that's perfectly fine too. So you're gonna line up your pieces. You wanna make sure your seams line up. Now, if your seams don't line up here, they're never going to match. If you get this off, it's just gonna be off and off and off. So, even if, let's say, your piece is a little bit short on this side, we don't care. We want this seam to match right here. But I'm gonna clip this seam, and then I'm going to clip this seam. I'm going to sew down this side. And after I've done that, I'm going to come back with this piece. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to stitch and back stitch, 1/4-inch seam following the edge of my fabric down the edge of my presser foot. Don't look at your needle. Look at your fabric and your presser foot.
With 35 completed quilt blocks, this quilt is going to finish out about 65 by 90-ish. The solid pieces I'm going to show you in a minute are 10-inch by 10-inch squares.
And that's it. You have your first Irish chain piece block. Now let me show you how they're going to go together. You're going to put one block, one solid piece, one block, one solid piece, one block, one solid piece. That is not a solid piece. One solid piece. After this is sewn, it all connects for your eyes. It is beautiful. One of my favorite quilt designs, and it's super beginner friendly.
Here's one made with a bunch of different colors.
My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.